So Go-Go Power Rangers issue 19 has dropped online through digital comics and in physical comic book stores if you want to pick it up. So today we're going to be reviewing issue 19 of Go-Go Power Rangers, and issue 19 was a very interesting issue. Now we're nearly at the climax of the Rita's Mother arc, or the Alpha 1 arc, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it the Alpha 1 arc because Alpha 1 is somewhat of the main antagonist of this arc if you put it all together. So this issue was a very interesting issue, but it felt sort of like an intermission because issue 20 comes out next month, and then the month after that we're going to get Rangers Forever, which is going to wrap up 20 issues of storyline or stories that Ryan has been telling since the comic started 2 years ago. So everything is going to come together in Rangers Forever, and you sort of see that in issue 19 with seeing some little cameos I talked about when I started reviewing this comic. So things are coming together in this issue. So this issue, it didn't feel slow, it felt like an intermission with not much action. It just felt like a lot of talking, but it's building up towards the finale we're getting in a few months. So issue 19 opens up with over 10,000 years ago with a young Rita and Lady Fana running through the forest. They're running from the Tengu Warriors, or the Tenga Warriors. They have different names in the movie and the TV show, I get them both confused, but they're running from the bird people, and Master Vile sent them after them because they're trying to escape from Master Vile, because Lady Fana does not like Master Vile. He is a very horrible person, and although we haven't seen Master Vile as of yet, Ryan did say in an interview that he wanted to put Master Vile in there, but he felt like because Master Vile is such a staple and such a legend in Power Ranger histories, he didn't think he'd be able to do him justice. I don't know if that's quote for quote, but that's what I got in the interview. I mean, such a big character like that, you'd have to live up to everyone's expectations, and especially the way Ryan's been building up Master Vile and his relationship with Lady Fana throughout the comics. I get the feeling that would be a big milestone to reach, or not a big milestone to reach, a big, what's the word I'm thinking for? Expectations to pull from fans, but it'd be nice just to see Master Vile, just his shadow looming in the presence to show that he's there, he's watching, but it's more scarier when you don't see the evil villain, but you know he's there. But in this case, we know who Master Vile is, and we know what he's capable of, and it seems like in the comics he's capable of a lot more. Now this whole flashback is very, very well done, but I also want to praise the colorer for this flashback, because there's a lot of dark colors and a lot of not so much bright colors, but the shading really sets the tone with how they're running away from the Tengu or the Tenga Warriors, and just the lighting sets the mood for this flashback, because it makes it seem dark but not too dark, but the lighting does help and the coloring does help in this situation. So Rita and Fana are cornered by the Tengas, but unfortunately Fana is killed. Now it's not stated how she was killed in the comics. I mean, you can take two guesses. She used up a lot of energy to try and protect Rita, or she was mauled to death by the Tengas, or the Tengus, whatever you want to call them. But that's pretty much her fate. She gets mauled to death by the Bird People Warriors. We then cut to the present day where Lady Fana and Rita are fighting, and this is a really cool fight because Fana summons this giant golem hand to grab Rita. Rita fires projectiles at Fana, and Fana deflects them, and then Fana is knocked back into the library room, and they have this very interesting conversation where Fana's begging to Rita, saying she's so much more, she could have been better, but Rita goes on this big speech saying she doesn't want her tears or her pity, and she says that Fana stole her away from Father, so Master Vile, but Father, I'll read the speech now. You stole me away and tried to hide me, but Father saved me. He showed me all the dark secrets of the universe. He made me strong, he made me powerful. My father turned me into a survivor, unlike you. So I get the feeling that after Fana was killed, Master Vile did manipulate Rita and made her who she was now. That's my guess of what happened. Well, it's not a guess, it's kind of obvious of what happened back then. It's just make your own headcanon and piece it together however you want. But Vayner is overpowered and Rita just summons chains around her and stops her from talking, so that kind of wraps up that plot thread in the issue. I get the feeling we'll visit it next week, but we don't revisit it later on throughout the issue, so that kind of wraps up there on that cliffhanger between the two. So the rest of this issue mostly focuses on the Rangers and their problems back on Earth, and we open up with Jason and Trini sparring, and Trini is upset that Jason never took her side during the whole Alpha 1 argument they had last issue, because Trini was expecting for Jason to at least back her up, at least take her side, and not turn her away like he did last issue. But they get into a bit of an argument, Trini storms off, and Jason doesn't know what he did wrong. But once again, Eleonora on point with her artwork of the Rangers in their normal clothes, because I like her drawings of the Rangers when they're just in their normal school clothes or training clothes and stuff like that. I love her designs of the Rangers. I've loved it since I first saw it, and I still love it every review and every time I read an issue. Her artwork is always on point when it comes to the Rangers and the characters in this comic. It's so freaking amazing. Speaking of something so freaking amazing, we get the coolest callback in this issue, and that is Billy's power suit that he built way back in issue 9 or 8, I believe it is. I'm gonna have a little flashback clip in this video when I talked about it, but holy crap, this was the coolest callback to see this finally pay off, because when I first saw it, I wondered when it would come into play. Ryan sort of teased it on the Ranger Danger podcast, but to see this suit finally come into play and we actually get to see it in action is the coolest thing ever. Now, it's a prototype and we see it in the simulation, but to see it finally show off and see what it looks like, its design, it looks so cool. It looks so amazing. It does look a bit bulky, sort of like a giant Kamen Rider suit or a giant Sentai suit. It does look a bit bulky, like a Power Armor and Fallout, but holy crap, it looks so cool, and I'm glad this finally paid off. So Billy asks Zordon what Zordon thinks of the armor, and Zordon's response is that this armor should have a few more tests out on the field before it's fully ready, because Zordon is kind of right there, because if this screws up, it could put Billy's life in danger, it could put the others' lives in danger, it could put a lot of people in danger if this armor doesn't do the right thing or meet the requirements, or it's fully not tested, because if something like that screws up, it could put a lot of people in danger, including Billy himself. So I've got to take Zordon's side on that one. We then check up on Kimberly and her mother, and this was, I'm not going to say it's the weakest part of the issue, but we've had this storyline looming throughout Go-Go with Kimberly's parents and how they're breaking up and stuff like that, but it's actually Kimberly standing up to her mother and telling her to grow up, because they've turned into a competition between the two of them. But this was once again really well drawn with the shading and the lighting and stuff like that. Although it's the weakest moment for me, I did like the character moment Kimberly had standing up to her mother in this issue. We then have Jason talking to the student counselor, and this student counselor character, I forget her name, but she's been prominent throughout this arc, with the Rangers talking to her about their problems that are a metaphor for their real life and their Ranger life, and she's been very, very interesting to have appearing in this comic. Now, I sort of had this tinfoil theory where I thought maybe she's not the student counselor, maybe she's actually an evil alien or not human at all, but I think I'm just stretching it out there, and I get the feeling she's very human, and she's sort of like the Zordon they can turn to when Zordon's not around. She's Lady Zordon. She's better than Demetria. She's better than Demetria. She's Lady Zordon that's better than Demetria. We then cut to Billy, Zack, and Alpha 1 making repairs on the suit, and Zack is concerned about what Zordon says, because he thinks that they're not going to be able to call all the shots. Zordon will be making all the shots being called for them, and Zack is concerned about that. And then Alpha 1, I get the feeling he's planting the seeds of sort of making them not trust Zordon and turn against him, because Alpha 1 has this giant scheme in his head that we know nothing about, and I can't wait for it to play out, because Ryan described Alpha 1 as Lucifer to Zordon. A weird comparison, a cool comparison, but when you say stuff like that, I'm like, ooh, what does he mean by that? I can't wait to see what he means by that. But Alpha 1, I get the feeling he's planting the seeds to sort of make them not trust Zordon because of his personal experience with Zordon himself. But either way, we'll see where it goes, because I was hoping we'd get more Alpha 1 plotting in the shadows to turn people against each other, but unfortunately, none of that. So Jason apologizes to Trini by admitting how dumb he was, and they make up in the end. And as they're talking, Kimberly walks in on them, and I like it when they get caught in this situation by Kimberly, because they've been caught twice now, and they always just act really awkward, and I love their expressions when they get caught and Jason just walking away awkwardly. And Kimberly's catching on, and she's trying to get an answer out of Trini, but as Trini goes to tell her, the juice bar is attacked by Goldar, Babu, Squat, and a bunch of putties. And I love Babu's expression where he's just slouching over, he's got this big grin on his face. He looks super menacing in that photo. But Goldar's there, and he says he wants to look for someone worthy for the Green Ranger coin. And that's where the issue ends off, with Goldar breaking into the juice bar looking for someone worthy. And overall it's a pretty good issue. Like I said, it felt like an intermission. It kind of was an intermission, but it had some important stuff in there for the plot and future upcoming issues, because although this was a bit of a breather issue, it was important and I did enjoy it. So that pretty much wraps up my review of issue 19 of Go-Go Power Rangers. It was a really good issue, I enjoyed it a lot, and the best thing we can do is just wait it out for issue 20 and the part 1 finale of Go-Go Power Rangers before we get into the Tommy stuff with the time skip. And that pretty much wraps up the review. I'll see you guys in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.